Hey guys, it's Clovis, and this video will explain some things from what I've read that is actually available on YouTube regarding the B3313. I got a comment recently saying it's 1.0, isn't it? But it's been retroactively branded as 0.9 patch, so anyway, just as a disclaimer, I really love this mod and I will praise it after I explain some stuff, obviously. This 1.0 release is what I'm assuming was given to, for example, Vinny from VineSource. He played this about a week or so ago, and if you look up B3313, you'll see a bunch of different people streaming it on YouTube. Some people are streaming it on Twitch, and it'll be listed usually as 1.0, which that would have been the initial release, or what it was called as a finalized version. But yeah, from what I understand, if you actually look at the video, he's privated and unlisted all of his older videos on the game and left a final update, which you can read. Again, I'll put all these links in the description below the video. And basically, he says that he's kind of, or implies he's a bit burnt out creatively, but his friends have given him an incentive to finish off the mod. So it does appear that there will be a final version, which would be the 1.0 release, and he has, again, in the description of this video, this is him, no one else. He is like retroactively kind of branded this release that we're all playing now as 0.9. So I'm going to be assuming that officially this will be 0.9, and then hopefully they release a 1.0. I'm also going to say now that I'm going to provide two other links in the description. One is a very informational video by BikdipOnABus. He's also creating informative videos on the Romhack, which you can check out. Just be wary of spoiling yourself, because this game is definitely best enjoyed blind, but check that video out, because that also provides a link to the patch and the patcher. And another link it provides is something I'll also provide. It's a donation link for the lead creator of the Romhack itself, Christopher Leo. He's a very talented guy, and I think he does want to stay true to his heart as a musician. So if you have any like disposable income, obviously don't spend any money you don't have. You want to support him, there's a link to donate to him to thank him. Just to thank him for his work on the mod and being the key person responsible for what we now have as B3313. He hasn't told me to do this, it's just, I think it's reasonable to, you know, let you know that you can support him. I'm not going to say that donating to him will affect the Romhack or anything. I don't know this, it's not guaranteed, but it is possible that he looks at the support he gets from fans of the Romhack, and that it motivates him to commit more time to do it. Again, that's just, I can't guarantee that, I'm not saying it will, but it is a possibility, and it's probably one of the better things you can do rather than, you know, comment on his videos, ask him about it, bothering him about it. So, yeah. Anyways, what you can currently play is listed as, again, in his words, a banger-ass preview, and while I can't confirm this to be true, I'm assuming that this is the same version that was given to streamers such as Vinny and all the other people. Everyone is playing this game, unless they're still playing 0.7, which you can't even really easily find anymore. Should be playing what is now being retroactively branded as 0.9, and it's just, from what I assume, it's been retroactively named 0.9, so that the creator himself could potentially leave room for a final 1.0 release. That's what we're all hoping for now. So, there's no real way to tell what the final release is going to be like. The game's massive, and unless they want to, I don't see them adding more areas. It's totally up to them, and obviously with Chris being a bit burnt out and just changing priorities and wanting to do other stuff in his life, which is totally cool, I don't expect the new version to contain much new content or anything new at all unless they want to. That's the creative team. As he explains in the update, it seems that the team are taking care of the actual ROM hacking, while Chris himself will still be helping with the creative decisions. So he might just be keeping the project at an arm's length, and even if he's burned out himself, the team, it's possible that the modding team, the other guys involved, might be keen to add more stuff still. Like, whether they want to add more areas, they don't have to obviously, but it's kind of up to them, you know, they might really get cool ideas as they go on, as they're fixing stuff, and you know, because it's a big creative project. I don't even know if they ever planned themselves to create a project this big. It just kind of gets bigger and bigger. So who knows what the next update will have. I don't think anyone really knows apart from them, And if they're doing that, I think it's in their best interest. They probably want to keep it all as a surprise, and that's probably the best thing as well for everyone who plays the game, is that when they release a final version, which I'm hoping and assuming that they are going to, that there's a lot of new content that, not like massive new worlds or anything, but just new, like, surprises, for the players, you know, and for the player experience. And I say this because this 0.9 has so many areas added to it, and I say that they still have room to make the 1.0 because some of the actual mechanics in the game are broken, and not like in the beta way. So instead of adding a bunch of new stuff, they might just be spending this time to fix some of the things that are broken with 0.9, and then let all the areas and whatever exists currently, all the new worlds and levels, just speak for themselves, and just focus on organizing it and making sure that they tie up loose ends. BikdipOnABus released a video talking about the new red star mechanic, which is really cool. I actually really like this red star mechanic, and I do like the idea of progress. Like, I think because the game was so chaotic and there's so many ways to go, I think actually keeping the player focused and having progress to lead to the next area is actually probably one of the best additions to the game, and it does a lot. It's one of the simplest solutions to get more, like, mileage out of the game and just make the player experience better. But the video he did is talking about the new red star mechanic, which some of the red stars don't do anything or don't count. Some of the stars that count as red stars appear yellow, and some of the stars that appear red are just a normal star or don't even count as any star. And so I think that when they're doing a final release of this game, fixing stuff like that or reorganizing stuff like that in a certain way, how they want to do it, that stuff is way more important than, you know, them adding a bunch of, like, oh, this reference or that, like a new world. Like, the game has so much content in it that I'm assuming that they're going to be focused on fixing this sort of stuff. There's some areas in the game that don't appear to be finished also. Again, like, it's hard to tell if they're supposed to be a certain way. For example, there's a lobby where you look at the ceiling and you get trapped in a lobby with no escape, but a death timer that kills you after 40 seconds. Now, maybe it's supposed to be like that, just to be like a spook, you know, just like a beta reference or something, but maybe it isn't. But there are some areas where I don't think it's up for debate. They're definitely unfinished. There's a hole I found you drop down on. It's behind one of the castles, or at the very back, where there's a bunch of booze. And it takes you to a level that's just a black and white checkered floor with the black void background and literally nothing in it. Just invisible walls around the floor. There's no enemy. There's not even like a Shadow Mario or invisible green mushroom that kills you after a certain time when it chases you. You're literally just there on a floor with no obstacles or any way to get out apart from pressing start and A and fast traveling out. And so what I'm hoping that the 1.0 official release will do as a final version is to fix up stuff like that, like the red stars. For example, the door to the final Bowser's red star count. You can actually access the final area of like the final Bowser and beat the game, but you can't actually do it through the intended method of opening that door that counts as red stars, because you can't actually reach that count of red stars because they're broken. So I'm really hoping that they're going to be finishing that stuff. That is way more important than adding new areas or new spooks or new surprises or anything like that. So what I'm hoping they're doing right now and currently working on is fixing up all that stuff and reorganizing the game, because they've got a lot of cool areas. Everything is just really, like, the visual design and everything of the game is spot on. It is so cool. Obviously, we all have our own opinions, and I could nitpick some things, but there are some things that are, like, beyond expectation. Stuff like, I guess Polygonal Chaos is what it's called. Just, they didn't have to put an area like this in the game, but it's so cool. Even if it's just, like, a transitional area that links a bunch of things together, it's just, like, for any player to discover that for the first time is crazy. Like, it's really crazy, you know? You would never think to put an area like that in the game, but you kind of get there and you're like, oh my god, like, what the hell is this? And you remember that part. And all these transitional areas, all these, like, you know, dark, long corridors, they're just like, you stop and think. Even simple things like doorways that have a no entry sign over them, anytime I see that, I'm just like, oh my god, like I really want to go into this. But like, obviously, if every single door had a no entry sign above it, it would lose all meaning. So, you know, there's always like things in the game you might ask for more of, but the more you have of something, the less impactful it is. And I think like a project like this, no matter what you do and how much feedback you get, you know, it's never going to be perfect for everyone because it appeals to so many people. You know, some people might just want the spooky stuff. Some people might think the spooky stuff is too cheesy. Some people, for example, they put music from like different Mario games in it. And if these music themes, you don't know about them, they're pretty cool. Like they just kind of sound like something that belongs in Mario. But if you grew up playing Yoshi's Story and then you play this mod and then you recognize that song, it might not be as impactful. It might break the immersion. And it's really like, there's no way that this mod could appeal to everyone. So all they can really do, all the creators can do is take the time that they think that they need and hopefully produce the best result possible. Another thing is that there are some areas that are quite laggy, and in the description, they said that they're working on a Decom Port so that it could be playable on console. And so what I'm assuming they're going to do is also work on reducing lag in certain areas. Like, again, that stuff, in my opinion, is a way higher priority and way more important than them adding more areas or anything. Like, they've already done a lot. They have so much content in the game that if they can fix the issues like the lag, polish off and, like, tie up certain loose ends in the game, and just work the progression so that like the red stars count properly, stuff like that. That stuff is way, way, way more important. So I'm assuming that they're going to be prioritizing that for the final release. Like, this is a huge project. In my opinion, it has the potential to be perhaps the best Super Mario 64 ROM hack, just in my opinion. And again, you got to remember that this is a creative process for the creators. It depends on the passion and enthusiasm and desire that they have to finish it. So I think the last thing that they need is pressure. Or having people comment on the videos, especially like Chris's videos, like bothering him about it. And I say this as someone who, on my main channel, I've focused on one game in particular, like some old Yu-Gi-Oh game, and people only ever know me as the person who talks about that Yu-Gi-Oh game. If I ever want to try something else, I get people, you know, kind of nagging me about playing that or going back to that, and that stuff gets really annoying. So I actually do know pretty much exactly how Chris feels, especially when a lot of the people are like not really the audience you want to attract specifically. You know, you get a lot of people just thinking, you know, you become like, you're the guy, all you care about is a mod, right? That's all I care about. But no, he's not like that at all. Chris, there's a lot of things he wants to do, in particular music and stuff like that. So in saying that though, I will also say that it's always possible that the passion comes back for him one day and that more could be in the works. But right now is not that time. I think he wants space away from it and to just kind of relax and do what he wants to and separate himself from something that's a big source of stress for him. And so yeah, I wouldn't bother nagging him about it. And as I provided in the description, a link to donate to him. If anything, I think showing him some like true support and is probably the best thing. And again, I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying that'll actually guarantee he's gonna become like, he's gonna go back to, like, you can't really buy him back into doing this more, but he might look at that and think like, hey, like, you know, there's you know, people appreciate it. It's not just people commenting and wanting more and trying to get more out of the mod when I don't want to do it. He might just think, hey, like, there are actually some good people out there who support me and want to see me do it more because they appreciate it. So that's something to consider. It's such a great ROM hack, and because it's so interesting, a lot of people also have opinions of their own. As I said before, there's no true way for the creators to know exactly what to do apart from what they think is the right decision at any given point. It is their creative project at the end of the day. And like, we all probably have our own wish list and critiques for the stuff, but our opinion is only our opinion. And I say this because, of course, like, I love this game a lot, and there are things that I would change if I was involved, but I'm not involved. It's not my project, it's not for me to decide. And, you know, I could critique here and there and just nitpick things, but with the situation, the way things are going, I don't think that's really helpful. I think what they actually need is more motivation to finish it and more support from everyone, and I think that will result in the best final version possible. You know, if they have more motivation to finish it, and they have more enthusiasm to finish it, then they will put more effort into it, and ultimately the end result will be a lot better that way, rather than like people nagging and talking about what's wrong with the game and everything like that. Because at the end of the day, even the critiques that I have, they're not really like what they've done wrong, they're just things that I would prefer. And that's something that I hope that the creators themselves understand as well. You know, if anyone's saying, oh, that should be done this way, or should be done that way, like, it's really easy for people to critique things when they don't really understand the creative process, or it's not theirs. They don't feel the same level of stress as the people who are putting a lot of effort into it, creating it. So, you know, I hope that the creators don't take anything really personally, because they're doing a really, really, really good job. And I think the truth is, people are only critical about it because it's been presented so well and so much effort's put into it that, yeah, this could be like exactly the game that people wanted. This could be the definitive version of like a beta Romhack that, you know, everyone is going to be playing for like a long time and putting a lot of playtime into it, so they want it to be perfect, as if there's like a huge, you know, studio behind it. But it's just kind of like a creative project, and it's kind of just gotten even bigger than I thought, or I bet the creators like imagined it being. Like, it's a massive project, there's a lot of hype around it, and it appeals to, again, a lot of different people. So yeah, as I stated before I just continuously repeat myself, yeah, make sure you show support to Chris if you do like the Romhack, if you do like the project. And again, he hasn't asked me to do this. I can't guarantee this will affect or encourage him to focus more on the final release, but it's probably the best thing that could be done, aside from just giving the team more time to just make the ultimate final release of the mod on their own accord. So I guess being patient also will be help. And yeah, check out the links in the description and consider donating to Chris to show support for the project. Bye bye.